Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the NBA Front Office Show. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith, as always. And today we also have a special guest. It's Kings forward Jake LaRavia. Jake, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for having me.
Keith and I have got a number of different things that we want to talk about here, but we're happy to have you on the show. I guess first and foremost, we do have the draft less than a week away now. Wasn't that long ago that you yourself were involved with the NBA's draft night? Can you talk a little bit about what your experience was like in the draft?
Yeah, I'm actually back in the town where I did all my pre-draft stuff out here in Bayville, New Jersey. I left Wake Forest early. I moved out here with my agents, Aaron and Reggie. Got set up out here and kind of just did all my pre-draft stuff out here. Worked out for 17 teams. So I was kind of like moving and grooving, like back to backs. I had one back to back to back. So I was kind of just flying everywhere, working out for a bunch of different teams, but just kind of enjoying and taking in the experience with everything. And then, did the combine, all that kind of stuff, and really just kind of enjoyed the process. Yeah, just seeing what it would takes and all that jazz. So enjoyed the pre-draft process, and then kind of all right, I decided not to go do something with my family and friends back home in Indy, just because I wasn't going to be able to have everyone out in New York. So I decided we rented out like this little like gym that I used to work out at back home, and just kind of invited all my friends and family there, and just enjoyed that time because obviously it was a joyous occasion being drafted. So, but yeah, it was a really good experience, my pre-draft process, and I enjoyed all that.
We like to talk about hat shenanigans on this show in the draft, where you get drafted, but then you get the hat for a team, and in your trade, you got caught up in a little bit of that. Do you still have the Timberwolves hat somewhere?
No, nah, I didn't have any hats. I didn't even have any hats at the draft with me, to be honest. But yeah, it was definitely a little bit confusing. Even like with everyone that was at the party there, everyone thought that I got drafted to Minnesota because obviously that's like the graphic that got shown. Wake Forest had posted like the graphic of me getting drafted to Minnesota, but no one had really known that it was a trade and I was actually going to Memphis.
Did you know about the trade like before your name was officially called was announced to the Wolves and all of that, or was it like a surprise to
Yeah,
you after the fact?
no, yeah, just because Zach Kleiman had called me
Uh,
like a pick before it was in, or maybe even during like while they were choosing or whatever it was, and called me and said that it was with the Grizzlies. So I knew, and it seemed like no one else knew. So
That's funny.
yeah,
Uh, so with the Grizzlies, one of the things that we wanted to talk about. So we on this show we talk about all 30 teams pretty regularly. Sometimes Trevor's Lakers connections and my Celtics connections pull us into the bigger teams a little bit more than I think we'd even like. But we talk about all 30 teams, and we get sometimes from people, "Hey, it's the end of the season. Why are you still talking about this team that's not even in the playoffs?" In 2024, the Grizzlies were out of it, but you got a chance to play a lot down the stretch. What did that stretch run mean for you to get that opportunity to play so much and have such a big role?
yeah. I mean, honestly, like my first 2 years of being with the Grizzlies, like there was kind of just like a lot of like injuries, like just unexpected things that happened to where like some guys got opportunities that they might not have thought that would happen or whatever. But for me, like especially, I had a couple injuries that I was kind of out of my control my first year and second year, and just like some sickness, kind of just like some rookie things, pretty much. And so that second year, when I was able to, I was given the opportunity of being able to be in rotation and play every night because, some other guys were out. I just kind of took advantage of it. And I was just kind of able to find my groove. And, um, the game got a little bit slower for me, and I was able to play, more confidently. Ball was in my hands more, whatever it was. And I was just kind of able to figure out, kind of my game, what it was going to be like, how it was translating, all that stuff. But yeah, it was great. I took full advantage of that opportunity. I had some pretty good games, and yeah, that kind of led on into this third season for me.
Was that when you were heading into that next season with the Memphis Grizzlies? I know they had an option on your contract there. Were you surprised? I certainly was. We talked about a lot on this show. Surprised that didn't get picked up. And then what was it like being traded from the Grizzlies? What was your reaction to that?
Yeah, I was definitely surprised that they didn't pick up the option. I talked with Zach. He called me in his office and we kind of talked through it, helped me kind of, understand it a bit more, what the decision was for and what it was about. And it's all good feelings between me and Zach. Like we had a really good relationship when I was there with Memphis. Um, and then yeah, getting traded. Obviously, that was like my first time getting traded, so it was like kind of like a wild experience. I'd never been through something like that before. It was the trade deadline. Like the trade deadline ended at 2 p.m. I got the call at like 1 from Zach saying, "All right, you're going to Sacramento," and he said they want you there tonight. So I had to pack up I had to pack up 2 suitcases. I had a flight at like 7 o'clock, and I had to be out of there that night and kind of just up and moved. And I still have my crib in Memphis, with all my stuff there and everything. So still haven't even fully moved out yet, but I was pretty much living out of a suitcase for the last 2.5 months of the season, living in a hotel in Sacramento. Like I was living across the street from the arena at the Kimpton. But yeah, it was a wild experience. But like again, like I think everything happens for a reason. And as much as I enjoyed my time in Memphis, I thought Sacramento provided me with a really good opportunity, and I was able to play instantly over there. Really good minutes, and me and Doug Christie, created a relationship, and he trusted me more as the season went on. And unfortunately, I got injured in like one of those games closer to the end of the season, and I wasn't able to play anymore. But I really did enjoy my time in Sacramento.
We're gonna come back to that in a minute because we have kind of a fun Kings related question
Yep.
for
Okay.
you. But what to go back to actually getting traded, right? Because when we're like everybody else, we're glued to our phones, or no more Woj bombs, but we wait for the Shams tweet or whatever, and we're ready to go on those things. And then I think a lot of people think it's as simple as, all right, you move a guy over a line in a spreadsheet and off we go, or you move them in 2K. I think that's where a lot of fans go to is, well, why can't they play? Where were you guys in Memphis when that went down? Or were you out on the road with the team? How did that process go? Because I don't think a lot of people understand the being what it's like to actually get traded.
Yeah, so we had just played in Toronto, um, and that was like some guys on Memphis were coming back from injury, so I didn't play that game. Like I just played like the final 2 minutes or whatever it was, and we flew back that night, and then the next day was like not a free day, but like it was just like a day off before we had a game the following day. But that was the trade deadline day. I was in the gym, working out probably an hour before, pretty much, and I got that call on the way back, like to my house. So I'd worked out in the gym, I was getting some shots up, whatever it was. Got in my car, drove back, and then that's pretty much when I got the call from Zach. So it was like I was just in the gym, and now it's like, okay, now you're getting traded to Sacramento, and that's why it was kind of like a rush thing. But
Was that a
that's what it's
stressful
like.
time for you? Like knowing that did you have some sense that you were going to be traded? Was there a kind of a heads up, and you're just kind of waiting on pins and needles to find out where you're going, or what was that whole process? Because the human side of it, I think, is a lot of what fans don't tend to think about with players getting traded.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely knew there was a chance. Obviously, like when they declined that fourth year team option, um, I just knew that was definitely more of a possibility than not. So I wasn't like not expecting it, But as the time went on throughout that day, I mean, because like again, I was in the gym that day, so I figured I'd run into someone and they'd say something to me or whatever it was. But like it was all good. I'd worked out. I was on the way home. There was an hour, pretty much an hour and a half, whatever it was, before the trade deadline was going to close. So in my head, I was thinking like at that time, like okay, I guess I'm not getting traded. And then literally like as that thought was going on in my head, like I look at my phone and it says Zach Kleiman. I'm like, okay, well, I'm getting traded.
Are you just in general? Are you glued to your phone trade deadline day like everybody else, or is it just like I'm gonna do my thing, I'm gonna get my nap in, I'm gonna get my work in, and do what I got to do?
This was probably like this. I mean, this past year was probably the first year where I more so was just because, like, my first 2 years, it was like less likely that I was to get traded. I don't really know how, like, rookie deal, whatever that works. Like, I didn't think it would make sense. But then this obviously the last year when they declined the option, I was on Twitter a bit more and turn notifications on for Shams and all that Woj and uh, seeing if I would see my name, um, whatever. But I got the call before I'm pretty sure even the news broke. So
Well, it's probably better that way, right? To
Yeah,
find out
yes.
for sure.
from your
I mean, yeah,
from your people.
Which is not
first.
always the case, though.
Yeah, no, definitely
yeah.
not always the case. Yeah,
I
a lot of
definitely
guys.
heard some stories of people getting traded and they had no clue. Like woke up from a nap and someone.
I don't know if you saw this, Jake, but obviously you were with Memphis. The big Desmond Bane trade that just happened. Contavious Caldwell-Pope coming from Orlando. He was out on a boat somewhere in the Caribbean, and then got the news that he was being traded while he was out in the middle of the ocean somewhere. You just never know. I guess speaking of which, you played with Des in Memphis. What were your thoughts on that trade, and how would you analyze that?
I mean, for me, like I know how big Des was a part of the Grizzlies team, not only like on the court, but like I know he did a lot of stuff in the community. So like I know he was definitely a fan favorite in Memphis. So like as much as fans or whatever probably hate to see him go, for me, like from the basketball side, I think like Orlando is going to be a really good fit for him. Like they needed shooting. I think Des is going to fit in very well there. And then obviously in return, Memphis is still getting a good two guard in KCP and then Cole Anthony, who's going to be a good off the bench player, but they also get a ton of picks. Like you get 4 first-round picks. It's kind of hard to say no to that. Whether you're going to use those picks or use them in trade leverage, whatever it is. At the end of the day, I was pretty much just saying it's like a win-win for both teams, I think.
Great. All right, so let's go to your time with the Kings. They have the tradition of lighting the beam after the big wins. If my quick research is correct, you got to do that with Kings legend Brad Miller. Is that right?
I'm trying to think if it was my first game.
Oh, was it really?
I'm trying to think if I lit the beam my first game there. I forget, but yeah, I definitely lit the beam with them.
That's cool. What was that like? Because I know he's beloved in Sacramento.
Yeah, I mean, like you always see, when you're playing on a different team, whatever. Like I had seen like the whole light the beam thing before. And when you're with a different team, you might have a different perspective on it or whatever. But then when I joined Sacramento and I was a part of it, obviously it's a little bit more fun and exciting to be able to do that in front of the fans. It's like a huge thing. It was super cool that I was able to do that. And it's just like a fun occasion. Obviously, after you win a game, you light the beam, and I stayed at the hotel, so I got to see that throughout the whole night after we would win a game.
Hopefully not too bright through the curtains there.
Right.
Nah.
So you played your entire time at Memphis. You were playing for Taylor Jenkins. You go to Sacramento. Now you're playing for Doug Christie. What was that like? And how was it different going to Sacramento now after being in Memphis? Different head coach. And what did Doug Christie bring to the table?
Yeah, like I don't really think my role changed or anything, but there's definitely two, I would say like two different styles of offense were being played. Whereas when I was I mean, earlier on in Memphis, we were doing like pick and roll, DHO, stuff like that. But this past year, we'd kind of altered our offense to be less DHOs, no ball screens, more movement, passing cut. Um, and I had enjoyed, playing in that offense because I felt like it had benefited like some more of the role players. And then when I got traded to Sacramento, it was obviously a different offense. You got Domas, who's like the center, but he's also a facilitator, so he's doing a lot of DHOs at the top of the key. Um, a slower paced offense, I'd say, with certain lineups. So just having to get like accustomed and used to, how the two differed in their offensive ways and whatever. But Doug Christie, I mean, he brings like so much energy, and obviously he played for the Kings. He played in the NBA, so he loves like the gritty. Um, that's just like who he is. As a person, that's who he is, and that translated to like how he coached. He was very, um, I don't even know the word, but that's just who he was.
Did it help that you joined the Kings with like several other guys who had just gotten there at the same time, just to have other guys like you were all getting to know things together?
Yeah, like I think it was good that it was because it was me, Zach, and then JV. I think all pretty much came at the same time, and it's probably just easier to get accustomed when there's other new guys because then you just get put in groups, for practice and stuff, and you're just running through the sets or going over defensive schemes or whatever it is, and then it's just easier to learn, when you're with other people. So it definitely made the process a little bit easier, knowing that there was other new people there. Uh, so yeah.
So now you've got free agency this summer, and that's a result of the Grizzlies not picking up that option. What's that process like for you now that we are a few weeks away from free agency starting up? How is this summer different than what you've been doing in the past now that you're heading into free agency?
I mean, the only difference, like, really, is that I'm like not at one house. Like when I was with Memphis, and that's all my off seasons I've been with Memphis. But when I was with Memphis, I would kind of just like do one little vacation or whatever it is, and then I just go back to Memphis and I'd work out with the team and do team workouts and stuff. So like the only difference is now I'm just kind of moving around and working out in different places. Um, like I pretty much like this whole off season I've been in Toronto because that's where my fiance lives. But I've just been working out there. I went to LA, worked out there for a little bit. Um, Kind of just moving around. Now I'm in Jersey working out. So that's kind of like the main difference. As far as like the team front, like nothing has really happened yet, obviously, because
Mhm.
can't sign till July 1st. Draft hasn't happened. Seasons like the finals aren't over or whatever it is. So kind of still waiting on that front. And again, I don't really know what to expect just because this is my first time going through this process. But I don't really like nothing's changed just like from the workout perspective or from what I'm doing individually.
It doesn't have to be a specific team. I've heard you in previous interviews talk about how much you like Sacramento and you would love to stay there. And obviously, it's a business. You're going to wind up, somewhere. What are you ideally looking for in a team? Like, what type of team do you think would suit you best when you look at the offense, the defense, the way that they conduct business, how they play basketball? What are you looking for?
I think my biggest, like the number one thing is like a team that's competing, like a team that is competing and building towards a championship, which obviously every team is, but some teams are obviously ahead of others. And then like I think I fit well in any like fast paced type offense, just because that's like I'm a 3, 4, whatever position I am, and I like, getting the rebound and just pushing it, not having to get the rebound, find the point guard, pass to the point guard, get into a set, whatever it is. And, there's times for that, but I definitely think I'm a better fit for like a fast paced type offense. And I think I'm a plug and play again, anywhere. Like, I think I'm pretty adaptable. I can fit in anywhere, not being biased, but being biased, obviously. Um, but those would be like my two ideal things, like competing and building for a championship and like a fast paced offense.
Do you feel like Sacramento checks those boxes for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think they are, building towards something. I think they got a lot of nice young pieces and vet pieces. I don't know if anything is going to happen with them as far as like trades go or anything like that.
Mhm.
But like I said, I really did enjoy my time around those guys when I was there, and I enjoyed my time around Doug Christie as well. So
When you talk about like fast paced in the way you shoot the ball and spacing the floor and that, do you watch one, are you watching the NBA finals? And if you are you watching that and thinking like, man, this is like I could like this is like not necessarily that it's the Pacers or the Thunder, but like this is where I want to be and I could be out there right now helping these teams. Like, is that part of the mindset?
yeah, for sure. I mean, you're looking at two teams that they both play defense. They're both physical, and they both play. I mean, obviously the Pacers play extremely fast, but like it's just such an up and down game. Like there's no stopping. It's quick pace. Um, I would say OKC doesn't. I mean, they don't shoot as many threes, obviously, because with Shea being high usage and he mostly lives in the mid range, obviously they're going to be less. But you see that works, like taking threes at a high clip. Um, works for the most part. So, but at the end of the day, watching the finals it's very quick pace, it's very fast paced, and it's very physical. So the other thing is like the defense aspect, and you have to be able to play defense. And I think I've definitely grown in that role as well.
Yeah, that's great. When whenever we have a chance to talk to players, one of the things that always like comes up is like, what is one thing that you think maybe the average fan doesn't know about just how physical and fast the NBA game is? Is it even more so than it looks like it is on TV? And was that something that when you got to the league, they're like, oh wow, this is like way different from what I experienced in college?
Yeah, I mean, like even just watching the NBA, like growing up and the college game or whatever it was, a lot of times, like as when I was a viewer and not a part of it, you're saying like, oh, there's no defense being played, or whatever. It's not physical, whatever it is. And then you're a part of it. And it's like, well, first of all, the dudes are just so offensively talented that it looks like there's no defense being played. And secondly, it's like, there's really not a single team that doesn't just play physical. Like you're getting hit every possession on catches or on drives or whatever, and you may or may not get the foul call. So you just have to be, built for that.
All right, I got to ask one more question, Trevor. Sorry.
No, you're good. And I've got one to close it out. It's a selfish one, I'll admit.
All right.
But still.
So we'll let you get your selfish one in after. So I'm gonna ask mine. You grew up in Indiana. What is it like to grow up with basketball in Indiana? Because like we've all heard this, but how big is it? And you played at a pretty big school too.
Yeah, I mean, it made it easy for me because, like, since I was 5, I lived and breathed basketball. Like, we had a basketball hoop in our driveway. I'd been playing since I was that young. Like, coming home from school, before school, I was playing basketball. And the other thing is, like, in Indiana, or maybe it's Midwest, but Indiana especially, like, you're taught to play basketball. It's not like street ball, whatever it is. Like, you're taught the fundamentals, you're taught the footwork, you're taught the basics of basketball, and that's kind of where I started from. And yeah, the other thing is just how big basketball was, especially when I'd say like my 2019 class was like coming up. Like it was a huge class, big names for that time, even before like the years before me, whatever, just growing up, seeing the environment, seeing the atmospheres. I think Indiana has like 2, 3, or I don't know, whatever it is, of the biggest high school basketball gyms in the nation. So you're getting to play at these places and kind of just see these atmospheres early on, getting exposed to those atmospheres, and yeah, it just made it very easy just for my basketball journey, just wanting to play and finding the love of it very quickly.
Love it.
All right, Jake, we'll let you go with this one. So I cover the Lakers for Lakers Nation. Jake LaRavia, free agent. What are your thoughts on potentially joining the Los Angeles Lakers?
You see who he's with.
Austin, put in a good word for us, please.
You ain't gotta worry about it. I got it.
Austin, talk him into it, man. Come on.
No words.
That's how you play it right there. Don't give away any of your leverage.
That's a smart man right there.
That's it. Keep that leverage. Don't give Lane any happiness here.
Oh, come on.
He doesn't need it. Just get $10 billion. You're fine.
That's right. Yeah, that definitely trickles down to me, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, somehow, some way.
Eventually.
All right. Well, hey, Jake, we definitely appreciate you taking the time to jump on the show with us here.
Of course.
Phenomenal
Appreciate you guys for having me. Love talking with you, and any other time, I'm always down for stuff like this. So
awesome.
Sounds
Yeah,
great.
all the best in free agency. We're hoping something lands where you land in a great spot with a great contract. So we'll be rooting for you.
appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. And
All right,
thank
see
you,
ya.
everybody, for watching the show. Keith and I will be back tomorrow with all the latest around the NBA. Till next time, everybody. See ya and stay safe.